And welcome back, fourth and long fans. It's your footy correspondent, Coach Donnie Hess here, back with our finals preview here. And today, ladies and gentlemen, I have a very special guest. If you saw our AFLW season preview, back again, Miss Fiona Newton from Chicks Talking Footy down in Melbourne. Fee, how are you doing today?
I'm very well, thanks, Donnie. It's always a pleasure to be chatting AFLW with you. I feel like I'm the bookends of the season, the beginning and the end.
I thought it
We've
was
managed to talk.
I thought it was a perfect little addition there when I reached out to you. I thought why not? She helped do the preview. Let's get her on for the finals preview and talk the finals. I thought it was a perfect little addition to this year. Let's hop right into it. The last time that we met, I had my friend Sam here and we went through the finals. So if you don't mind, we'll go a couple weeks back. We'll go to the qualifying finals. First game of the qualifying finals would be Melbourne hosting the Freo Dockers down at Casey Fields, the blustery Casey Fields out in the middle of nowhere, and the Melbourne Demons find a way to get it done 40-23, a 17-point win
Mm,
by the Demons. Miss Fee, what are your thoughts on the Demons finding a way to knock off who, when we talked earlier this year, was one of the teams we saw as a flag favorite?
absolutely. I think the Demons are very hard to beat down at Casey Field. So to give you a perspective, Casey Fields is kind of way out in the outer suburbs. Like you have to drive down a dirt track to get to the ground, and it's very, very windy. As a result, some of our suburban grounds, they don't have the grandstands built up, so that there can be a big wind factor. And Casey Fields is very much known for its wind. And I think the Demons just knew how to play there much better than the Freo Dockers. So the Dockers were goalless for the whole first half. For a champion team like them to be held without a goal for an entire half says a lot. And I really felt for the Dockers because it really did look like last season that they were, they had won every game last season. We were heading into the finals, and they really looked a chance to take a premiership, and kind of felt like they'd been robbed again from this loss. Kiara Bowers, who's been absolutely outstanding all season. She, I don't know if you saw the interview of her after the game, but she said her heart was broken and it was still left out there on the field somewhere. So, yeah, tragic loss for them.
Yeah, I heard that interview. The raw emotion, and I love the passion on that, and I completely understand it. I mean, I think we've all had that opportunity where you give everything and you just fall a little bit short. And I completely agree with you. I mean, they play Casey Field so well, and
Mm.
Melbourne's been the hottest team for the longest time. I mean, going into those last three games, I didn't see a way for them to stay in the finals hunt, and they find a way to win, and they get in and another big win for them. I'm super happy for the Demons. I don't know if you've listened to any of my previous shows, but I've become a card carrying member of the Lily Mithen fan club.
Oh, no.
So I've been kind of semi supporting the Melbourne Demons a little bit because I love watching Lily Mithen play. It was so hard to see Daisy Pierce not playing for Melbourne, but her girls get them on to the next round. We will chat how they do in the next round here just a tiny bit. We'll shoot over to Victoria Park in an absolutely epic game here. Collingwood finds a way to
Oh,
knock out North 50-44, a 6-point win. I mean, this was an epic game of footy.
it really was. And look, the Kangaroos finished sixth in the finals race, so they only just scraped into the finals series. But their coach at three-quarter time just said, "We deserve to be here. You've
Mhm.
got to make it happen." They went into that final quarter with 14 points ahead. It really looked like they'd kind of sealed it, or it wouldn't have taken much for them to seal that game. But they did not score at all in that final quarter. Collingwood just held them right down defensively. So good on Collingwood for getting through that game. Collingwood have been a bit of a surprise bag this year and almost finished as minor premiers, or were on top of the ladder for a few rounds of the season as well. So they've been one of the most improved teams this year.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I had kept an eye on him all year. I loved Ruby Slicer in the back, was an absolute gun almost all year. She shows why she is a good chance to be an All Australian this year. But man, Collingwood is so much fun to watch, and they're so tough defensively. They crack down in a North Melbourne team that has so many superstars. This really was going into this finals. Every single team had a chance to win the flag if they got the right mood going.
Mm.
So I have to say that the final starts off with a bang with a couple of really good games. Let's jump now to last week's preliminary finals. We'll hop over to Adelaide, where the Adelaide Crows, just the constant of finals footy, pulls off the win, beating Melbourne 33-15, a 6 and 18-point win, and the Crows find themselves in another grand final.
Yeah, it's interesting actually because they're in their third grand final, and they've been in every second year.
Mm-hmm.
So 2017, 2019, and 2021, and then Brisbane have also been in three grand finals now, but they haven't won one yet. So it's definitely going to be a tight competition. But yeah, the preliminary finals, what games they were. They were just absolutely fantastic games on the weekend. I was hoping, I have to admit, Donnie, being a Melburnian, that the Melbourne teams would get through, because then the grand final would have been played at the MCG,
MCG.
and that would have meant that we could all go to the game and be part of all the pre-game functions and all that sort of thing that would go along in Victoria. But it's going to be played at the Adelaide Oval yet again. But look, last time they got a crowd there of 53 plus thousand people
Mm-hmm.
at that ground. I would expect they would break that record if they're allowed with capacity with COVID, but I assume they are. I think they would break that record.
Yeah, I'm crossing my fingers they can get as many into that ground as possible, and to see Adelaide bounce back against Melbourne after being beaten down at Casey Fields earlier this year, and really their superstars just came to play. Phillips, Hatchard, all of that. It just,
Mm,
I mean, the Crows they have just so much class on
mm,
that team. They're just so difficult to beat, and I felt so bad for Daisy Pierce not being able to get her knee right to be able to play in that.
yeah.
But I'll cross my fingers. She'll be good to go next year.
Well, she's talking about playing again next year, so
Mhm.
which is exciting for the comp. She certainly hasn't retired. But yeah, tragic end to the season for Melbourne. I don't know if you remember, Donnie, but when we were talking to Bree, we were
Mhm.
talking with Bree at that preview as well, another chick from the team. We'd basically written Melbourne off
Mhm.
as a contender. We thought they'd lost a couple of key players with O'Day and a couple other people during the pre-season. But they surprised us as well. So yeah, sad that their seasons ended. I think any of those four teams deserved to be in the grand final, but Adelaide were the ones that got through.
Yeah, and the best part for Melbourne is that they've just got so much young talent. I mean, Eden Zanka is an absolute superstar.
Mm,
She's going to be so much fun to watch. I cannot wait to watch this Demons team next season. I think they're going to be right there in the hunt again. Get a couple of draft picks, maybe make a move. And Melbourne will definitely be a chance next year. And who knows how this Adelaide team will look after this year? I mean, is there a possibility this could be Aaron Phillips's last game? I mean, we just don't
yeah.
know.
I think that yeah, I would assume that if Adelaide won, it would be.
Hmm.
That would be my guess. But look, you never know with players like Erin Phillips. I mean, she's been the one player that's been a full-time professional athlete, and so exciting to see. I guess where athletes in football can go
Hmm.
if it's their full-time profession. But it would be sad to see the end of Erin Phillips. She's been a champ from the start. But Donnie, that Brisbane Collingwood game, I'd have to say it was one of the best games of the season. It was just absolutely phenomenal. Either of those teams deserved to win it, but gosh, Brisbane Brisbane came through with the goods in the end.
Yep, they just had just a little bit too much for Collingwood there late. Collingwood was so good during the season, but Brisbane just had just enough of a foil. I completely agree with you. I watched this game. I absolutely loved watching it. I was on the edge of my seat for the
Yeah,
entire fourth quarter because you just didn't know who
yeah,
was going to come out with it. But Brisbane just they hit just the right time, and you got to say, I've heard it said before is if you look at the score 7-3, 6-5. I mean one goal for Collingwood, one behind goes for a goal for Collingwood, and Collingwood's going
mm,
over to Adelaide to play in the grand final. So it just it shows you the fickleness that footy can be. Collingwood was so good all year long; they didn't get beat until Brisbane late in the year. So it is kind of a shall we say, a lackluster end to their season for such a great year that Collingwood had. But again, they're a lot like Melbourne. They got a lot of young superstars. Ruby Slicer has a breakout season. Chloe Malloy is still there in the front, who's absolutely
yeah,
electric.
she's a gun, Chloe
They
Malloy.
they still have Tarny Brown, who's gonna grow into that. They've got so many superstars. Collingwood will be up there again next year. I cannot wait, but we have to do it before we go to the grand final. The 40 woman squad for the All Australian has come out, and I have to say it's a very very elite list. But here's the one thing I have to say, Fee, whoever is choosing the midfielders for this particular team, I feel for you, because just looking at this midfield list, I mean, I don't know how you're going to be able to get 6 or 7 names, because there are some absolute superstars on this list. I mean, do you envy these all Australian selectors from this 40
Oh,
down to
yeah.
22?
Yeah, well, they did get it down to 22. But yeah, it's such an elite list. I mean, Collingwood, as we've just been talking about, I mean, Collingwood have got, I think they ended up with 5. So they've got Stacey Livingston, Chloe Malloy, Brittany Benici, Bree Davey, who's just been absolutely outstanding, like consistently getting over
Mm-hmm.
30 touches a game, and Ruby Slicher. They just got an incredible list there, and they certainly dominated the All Australian list. Adelaide surprisingly only ended up with 1, Erin Phillips.
Mm-hmm.
So down in the 22. But the Western Bulldogs, Ali Blackburn, she had an outstanding
Mm-hmm.
season as well. Although the Bulldogs sort of peaked in the middle, but then dropped off at the end of the season, I felt. And Isabel Huntington, I mean, she's just been outstanding as a forward for the Western Bulldogs. But yeah, so Geelong didn't end up with anyone in their team. They had a very disappointing season, Geelong,
Mm-hmm.
and the Gold Coast as well. But they did end up with Lauren Arends in the All Australian.
That's
Um,
good, and that's good for her. I think it's always good to try to get at least one from each team. I know in the 40 woman roster that Geelong did get Meg McDonald as one
yes,
of the
that's right.
defenders, but it's unfortunately with their record and the way kind of the season, it doesn't surprise me that the 22 is you're going to see a couple of teams not make it there. But it was just looking at the 40 woman roster originally. I'm just like, how are you going to break this down? The midfield is
Yeah,
absolutely. I was like, I was trying to do it myself, and I was like, man, I want to put a couple of these midfielders at the forward to the defense just to get them all in, because I was like,
just a bit of a Saturday afternoon activity for you, Donnie.
oh man, it would have been just being able to play with the magnets. I mean, that's a coach's dreams to be able to go, okay, can I put this person here? So that would have been a lot of fun, but it would have been a real headache for that all Australian group for sure. That would have just, oh man, there would have been some very good discussions. I would have loved to have been a fly on the wall for that one.
Yeah, well, the other person that got selected was Darcy Vesio. She was the
Hmm.
first player to score 100 points in a AFLW season. Now we are playing 2 more rounds. It used to be
Hmm.
7 rounds. It's now 9 rounds. So this season has extended. And she kicked 16 goals and 4 behinds during the season. Unfortunately, that didn't translate into Carlton's success during the year. But what a great personal achievement for Darcy Vesio.
Yeah, great for her. Yeah, I completely. Carlton was kind of one of those teams that they kind of underachieved this year. Unfortunately,
Oh,
they got off
absolutely.
to such a bad start, losing the first couple of games, and they were just kind of fighting the rest of the year. Unfortunately for them, but they've still got a lot of super talent there. Another team to keep an eye on. Real quick, since we have the opportunity, any favorites for who you think is going to take home the best and fairest for the AFLW this year?
Yeah, well, I think there's two outstanding players that will pretty much be in contention for is Kiara Bowers
Mm-hmm.
from the Fremantle Dockers and Bree Davey from Collingwood.
Mm-hmm.
I can't see that it wouldn't be one or both of them, if you like,
Mm-hmm.
that would win the award. So the awards are going to be announced on or held on the 20th of April, I believe, and they have a coral carpet instead of a red carpet event.
Mm-hmm.
One thing Beck Dahl and I from our show, we did some reporting at the first ever AFLW Awards, and what was really lovely that we don't see in the men's is that you know a lot of the female players had female partners, and they were
Mm-hmm.
able just to walk in hand, get their photo taken in front of the big sponsorship boards, and you know, the first awards obviously were the time that Erin Phillips also kissed her wife when she won the award, which is just something that, you know, was groundbreaking at the time
Mm-hmm.
because that, you know, we've never seen two men, you know, rock up to the AFL awards. So yeah, it was a very significant night in that way as well. But we'd expect to see, you know, all the stars there. But yeah, I think it'd be those two that that's where I'd put my money. That's for sure.
Well, great minds must think alike because I'm the exact same way. I had Kara Bowers is my most likely favorite, but I have a sneaky feeling Bree Davy is going to be there. She's going to be close. I'm very interested to see how some of the umpires go with some of those games, especially as dominant as Collingwood was early in the year. We'll definitely have to see come the later part of the season whether she retains some of the votes for sure. So let's get
Mm.
into it. We've delayed it as far as we can. We have to do it. Grand final, Adelaide Oval, Adelaide v Brisbane. Who do you think is going to take home the
Oh.
flag for AFLW season 5?
Uh, look, I would hate to put my money anywhere with that one, but
Mm-hmm.
the only reason I would tip Adelaide is because it's being held at Adelaide Oval and, you know, home team advantage. But I have to say, one of the things that Brisbane are very good at is winning on the road.
Mm-hmm.
You know, when they're playing interstate teams, they've been very good at still coming through with a win, and the home side advantage hasn't been there. But I think it's going to be an amazing game. We're going to be watching at a sporting bar, which is about a kilometre from the MCG, so certainly be well in the thick of things. But yeah, gosh, I think it's going to be a great game. I'm very excited. 2 o'clock Saturday in Melbourne time or Australia time.
Mm-hmm. If I remember correctly, it's 11. I think it's gonna be 11:10 my time here in Central. So I have to debate if I want to go to bed and wake up for that because then directly after that is my Swans play at the 1:35 a.m. game. So I'm debating if I want to nap before or if I want to watch the game on tape delay. I think I'm going to nap before because I really want to watch this grand final live because I think
Yeah,
the ladies deserve me
a
to watch
live
it live. I
viewing.
cannot wait. I really want to. For me, I'm I've said it several times this season, and it is so true. It is so hard to tip against a team with Aaron Phillips on it. It really is
Yes,
because when a team needs that one person that can grab the team and put them on their back and drag them to victory, she is one of the few in the AFLW that I sit here and go, she's going to do it. And it's so hard to tip against her. I completely agree with you. Like, I think Brisbane comes out, and I think the first 5 minutes of this footy game, who gets on top first? Because if Brisbane can keep the crowd quiet, and on their hands a little bit. I think Brisbane takes a little bit of momentum through it through the rest of the first quarter. If Adelaide gets up on top, gets a goal in the first 5 minutes, and keeps the crowd in the game, that helps Adelaide get some momentum.
Mm.
Maybe it rattles Brisbane a little bit, because I agree with you. I think there's going to be a massive crowd. I think they're going to try to pack that place as much as they possibly can to help the Crows, because it just is such a good environment. So if Brisbane can keep
Mm.
the crowd out of it, I think Brisbane has a chance. If Adelaide gets over early, I think Adelaide can win this one going away, because if Brisbane gets rattled sometimes, their goal kicking can sometimes kind of fade a little bit. So we'll have to see.
Well, one interesting thing, Donnie, is Chelsea Randall, their captain, the
Mm-hmm.
Adelaide captain, has been ruled out
Ruled
of the
out.
game
Mm-hmm.
because the AFL have brought in new protocols that if there is a concussion, they have to stay out of play for 12
Mm-hmm.
days.
Mm-hmm.
So Chelsea Randall was taken off the ground last week against Melbourne because
Mm-hmm.
she had experienced concussion. So she actually can't play because of that new rule, which is cruel in some ways. But I don't know if there's different protocols around concussion happening in sports in America. But we've now instigated. A 23rd player
Mm-hmm.
in the men's team for a medical sub, so that there's less motivation for teams to just play
Mm-hmm.
people if it's a close game and put them at risk. We've had some male players actually suffer greatly from concussions and commit suicide recently. So
Mm-hmm.
we wanted to. The AFL's been very motivated to do something about that. So we're being they're being very, very strict. But it has meant that Chelsea Randall can't play in the grand final. So
Yeah, I saw that. I was keeping an eye on that, and
like,
that's
oh,
absolutely devastating. But in the long run, her health is far more important than one footy game. I mean, I know the tunnel vision now is that
oh
we really
no,
wish she
it's
could play, but I mean, I would feel horrible if they let her play, she takes a good knock, and then she loses her career out of this. It's
yeah.
like I understand the right here and right now. I really, really do, but in the long run, her health is much more important. Again, unfortunately, these women are not full-time professional athletes. They are somewhat semi-pro. I don't agree with it. I really want them to be full-time pro, because I think the game will only be better if these girls are allowed to train full-time. But
Mm,
unfortunately, her health has to be the number one
yeah.
thing we have to
Well,
think
it's
about. And I know it's cruel to say it, and it's
it's just
absolutely
talking about the
it's
grand final.
I know it's
She's
absolutely devastating, but I think when she looks back at it, if her team wins the grand final and she misses it, I think she'll be okay. I really don't want. I really want her to be healthy more than anything.
yeah. Well, she's we had Chelsea actually on our show 2 or 3 weeks ago, and she's just the most lovely, incredible person and great leader as well. So she'll certainly have a role to play,
Mm-hmm.
but it is heartbreaking. There's nothing we can do about it. It's the right thing to do, but
Mm-hmm.
it's certainly heartbreaking that she'll miss the grand final. But the other exciting thing is we've got some great entertainment happening. A performer called, I don't know if you've heard of G Flip, but a well-known Melbourne musician and artist will be performing at the game. A massive Collingwood supporter, so it's going to be a great game. They're going to sing the national anthem, but also um, do the Welcome to Country as well.
Mm-hmm.
Have the Welcome to Country. So the AFL and AFLW have been really good at incorporating the Indigenous culture into the games and acknowledging them. In fact, Emma Carney, the captain of North Melbourne, took a knee one of the at the
Mm-hmm.
preliminary final, and it was because we've experienced Aboriginal deaths in custody. She took a knee to acknowledge that was going on in our
Mm-hmm.
country. So that's been one of the beautiful things I think of the AFLW season is we've had a full Indigenous round this year for the first time,
Mm-hmm.
and we've had a full Pride round as well in the season. So it's very much being incorporated into the lifeblood and culture of the AFL. But I've got some news. I don't know if you've heard this, Donnie,
Mm-hmm.
but your team, the Sydney Swans, and my team, the Hawthorn Football Club, currently don't have AFLW licences.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I can't say that we're getting them, but I do know the AFL Commission is meeting on the 1st of May
Mm-hmm.
to decide whether we get our licences. So I don't know about you, but every year I go through a little bit of pain at the start of the season that my Hawks aren't running out and part of the fixture.
Mm-hmm.
And, one of the tragic things that's happened is in the past with us is, I mean, the Hawthorn Football Club won the state premiership, the
Mm-hmm.
VFLW premiership.
Yep.
And 8 of our players got recruited into the AFLW teams, particularly St Kilda. And now we sort of have to start again every we rise up enough good players that they get recruited, but
Mm-hmm.
without us having a license, we don't
Mm-hmm.
have the ability to keep good players. So hopefully we have some good news after the 1st of May for your team and my team. I know the Sydney Swans have been very good at developing the women's team and are very keen to get a license. I know that the Hawthorn Football Club are as well,
Mm-hmm.
and Essendon, who are another team. Port
And
Adelaide, I'm not so
Port
sure
is the
about.
other one. Yep. Port. I knew Port was the other one. As is
Yeah, so
actually.
there's 4 teams at the moment that don't
Yep.
have an AFLW license:
Yep. Because
Hawks,
I
Sydney
actually.
Swans, Port, and Bombers.
Yeah, I had a discussion during one of my episodes early in the year. Who was a Port fan who I interviewed, and I asked her. I said, be honest with me. I said, yeah, I know you're a massive Port fan. I said, both you and I do not have an AFLW fan, but we watch AFLW. I said, would you rather have Port bring in a team and go through a few years of pain of losing games because again it takes a little bit to get the expansion clubs, the talent in, the draft picks, all that, or would you rather wait 3 or 4 years to where more Oz Kick girls are coming through, more girls that have played it since birth, basically, more girls playing it to where the talent pool is deeper? So I, since you brought it up, and I'd love to hear yours, and I think I kind of know the answer. Are you? Is this something that you would be okay with, maybe going through some tough couple of seasons, or would you
Oh,
rather wait a few years and let the talent grow up?
no, I think I'd rather get in there as quickly as possible because, as I said, we
Mm-hmm.
keep losing good players and good coaches. We had Paddy Hill, who
Mm-hmm.
coached us to a state premiership. He's been recruited to the Saints. We've had several players that have gone to various clubs, even Geelong and St Kilda. We just can't retain the talent and build
Mm-hmm.
anything significant until we're part of the AFLW. And I think I'd rather us get in there, get some experience. You look at the Tigers; they had a tough year last year, but they won 3 games this season, and
Mm-hmm.
they were able to build on that. So I'd rather be experiencing that than sitting around waiting until we got better. I don't think it's possible, in fact.
Yeah,
So
I think with all the young talent coming through and so many of the youth women's and youth girls teams growing at such a rapid rate, it will not shock me if these licenses come here very, very soon. I know I've been keeping an eye on, the Swans have been putting out videos of the under 17s and the under 19s, played a couple of scratch matches against the GWS Academy. And I think the under 19s actually went down and played the Geelong Falcons, I think it was, and actually won. In fact, actually, I don't know. Did you hear that the girls actually helped lead the change in the Sydney Swan song on a permanent basis?
right, no, I didn't hear that.
Yep, they actually they if you listen to it now, they changed the words, for both the men and the women. It's not just for the girls. They changed it to, I know the original one was, her. It's I don't want to sing the entire song, but
You're gonna sing for us, Donnie?
I wish I wish I prefer not to, but basically, her loyal sons are marching on. They changed it to our loyal swans are marching on.
Ah, nice one.
And
I think,
if you listen to it now, it's a full on change. So if the next time you hear Sydney sing the Sydney song, listen for that little bit of difference. Is that now even the men sing our and loyal swans, not sons. So that was officially changed.
wow. Well, because I think the Bulldogs did the same thing because their team song was Sons of the West.
Hmm.
And I believe they've changed it to something else. I'm not sure exactly what the wording is now, but just to make their team songs more inclusive. I have to
Hmm.
say, the Sydney Swans are, as much as I hate them on the field, off the field, off the field, are just a fantastic club when it comes to inclusion and that sort of thing. They've really actually been leaders in that space. So well done on that.
Yeah, I need to eventually. I'm going to get a Rainbow Swans jersey. It's just
Mm.
it's paying for the shipping is always the fun part over here. But
Yeah,
I will eventually get it for sure. And I think that is going to do it for our conversation today. Fee, it is always awesome to talk footy with you. And I never want to end an episode without giving you a shot to plug again your podcast, the Chicks Talking Footy podcast. It's one of my favorite footy shows. I look forward to it every week. You have an
yay.
incredible bunch of ladies to talk with. One of these days, we got to get Beck Dahl on this show because she
We
was one of the
do.
reasons that I got onto your show.
She's hilarious.
I caught her on the Junk Time podcast, and she talked about your podcast. I'm like, I gotta find this, and I have not regretted that particular listen. So if you want, why don't you tell the fans here a little bit about the Chicks Talking Footy podcast?
So yes, we're a bunch of well, we're an all-female footy podcast. So when we launched, that was certainly a unique thing because probably like sports media everywhere, it's very male-dominated, and we thought we're all women that love footy,
Mm-hmm.
but we're not represented necessarily. So, the year we launched our show was quite fortuitous too, because it was the year that the AFLW was announced, and then it was also the first year of the AFL Pride game, which we were part of the live broadcast for at the ground. So we love talking footy. We also love dissecting some of the football issues of the week, and and also giving a voice to perhaps people that in the football community that normally wouldn't be heard. So whether it's women or Indigenous players or transgender players, we love to give a voice to different people that have perhaps not traditionally been part of the main thing. Although I have to say the football world has come leaps and bounds just even in the last 5 years. So that's our show. We are on live on radio, but if you're in America, I imagine you don't want to get up at the hour that you would need to listen to us each week. So we do also podcast the show. So if you can listen to that on Apple Podcasts or joy.org.au/chicks talking footy. So there's and we're on all of the podcast channels, Spotify, etc.,
Mm-hmm.
etc. So yeah, catch up with us every week. We have a bit of fun. We can be serious and we can have lots of fun as well.
It is definitely worth a fun and a very eclectic group of ladies on that show, I have to say. And I know
Yeah, we
you
are.
just, and did I see right? You just added a new member. I think it's
We
Sasha.
have. Yeah, so we've got Molly's actually hanging up the boots this at the end of the women's season, and so that's very sad for us. She's been with us from the start, but
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure she'll be there every now and then. But yeah, we've got a new team player, Sasha. She actually plays for a women's team at the Brunswick Renegades, which is a local football club, in Melbourne. And so she's actually someone that actually plays football, not just talks about it. And she's been a great addition to the show. So yeah, we're currently recruiting, looking for extra new blood for the Chicks Talking Footy Academy. And yeah, so I think it'd be good to have some fresh air in the
Yeah,
team,
yeah, it was a
because it's
lot.
actually a long season now. It's kind of, we have to start talking about women's football end of January, and then it goes right through now with the men's season to the beginning of October. So it's a marathon, to produce a show every week during that entire time. So we're trying to spread the load a little bit just to make sure we still stay on and no one's burning out.
Yeah, I loved her episode with Breeza that I heard her first episode when she was with Breeza, and that was an awesome episode. I thoroughly enjoyed it.
Yeah, she's great.
I cannot wait every week. I think that will do it for us today. Again, Fee, thank you again so much. You're an awesome guest. I will definitely make sure to have you on. Maybe we'll catch you another time really soon. I know you and I will probably go back and forth when our beloved Hawks and Swans go at each other in the
Yeah,
AFL. AFL. I cannot wait for that game. For
and we'll
sure.
do a show together when that game happens.
Oh yeah, it'll be playful banter. It'll be so much fun. I cannot wait. I'm not a big trash talker. I just
All right.
I enjoy the footy. I respect the Hawthorn Hawks so much. I love Alistair Clarkson. I'd love to be able to sit and just chat footy with him. I think that would be an incredible thing to do. And I know this season is not going to be easy, but I think he'll find a way to help you guys out this year for sure. So we will definitely keep tabs with each other. You have a wonderful day down there in Melbourne, and Fourth and
Thanks,
Long
Donnie.
fans. This has been another episode of Donnie's Disposals. You have yourself a wonderful evening.